Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on July the 14th, 2020. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual here, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar. So overall, in terms of what's going on in the market, we did see stock market drop today. And the main reason behind the drop was because California, the number of cases in California has gone up a fair bit. And as a result of that, they are shutting a lot of businesses down in California once again. As a result of that, we did see that drop in the market. And that's because the stock market has been going up because of all the money that's going into the market because of Fed supporting the markets and so forth. And there was a lot of optimism in regards to opening up the economy. So now that we are starting to see the opposite of that, this announcement was a big deal. And this means that if California is shutting down, we may see others shut down as well. So that's one of the main concerns, and hence we saw that drop. So we'll have to keep an eye to see how this all plays out in the sentiment here. So we may see market sentiment drop. So we may see a risk-off environment. So keep an eye on that. Coming up here, we have business confidence numbers for Australia. Here, it should go up with the economy opening up. So we'll keep that. And if the numbers are positive here, so Australian dollar will be interesting, because if the market sentiment turns into a risk-off mode, so negative, in that case, we're likely to see a drop in Australian dollar. The impact from the data may not be as much. So it's all about the risk sentiment at the moment. And then we have China trade balance numbers. If it's big difference in terms of negative, then we could see Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar drop as a result of that. But overall, I would expect it to be the same. I wouldn't expect much difference there. Coming up here on Tuesday, we have GDP numbers from UK. We have final CPI numbers from Germany here. We also have economic sentiment numbers, and if these match the expectations or they're better, that will be good for the euro. And then also we have CPI, which is the inflation numbers here for the US as well. And normally I would say the positive data is having a much bigger impact, but at this moment we are in a bit of a flux, and so we just have to be careful here. If the risk sentiment is to the downside here, even positive data will not have an impact. So we'll watch out for that. Big thing here for Bank of Japan tomorrow. Monetary policy statement, which is later in the Asian session. But overall, all in all, not a ton of high impact data here. So let's go on to our charts here. We'll start off with euro dollar. So euro dollar, as we can see, is still trading in this range. Price is into the resistance here, and we did see a bit of a drop from there, but not a huge amount. So we may see, I would look at 1.1370. If it holds below this resistance level, then I would look for a bit of a drop. Now, I am neutral on this. At this point, we're likely to see more of an impact from the risk sentiment perspective. If the stock markets turn, then we're likely to see the dollar crosses drop and the yen crosses drop as well. So the resistance here becomes very important. And as long as it holds below this resistance, I would be looking for a drop. Now, should it go through though, we could see it go all the way into the highs. So right now, I am a neutral on this. My base case scenario is for it to stay in the range, but we'll see. If it does break, then we'll start targeting to the upside. For now, it's neutral. Pound dollar here, this one is looking bearish here. We see 3 days in a row price has not been able to break the resistance. So bias here is to the downside here. Now we may get a pullback into a 1.2580, so watch out for that. but bias is bearish. We have a nice bearish engulfing candle here. So I'm looking for a further drop towards 1.2450. In terms of our targets, the first target here is 1.25 and then 1.2450. Aussie dollar here, we have a pin bar here. So bias here is bearish. Next target is 0.6900. And then we have 0.6840. So bearish bias here for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar here, this one as well, we see that price has dropped. It went into this resistance. Prices has been trading in a range here. For the last 3 days, it has not managed to go through this resistance. So now today we see a drop. So bias is bearish here. In terms of our targets here, I'm looking for pullback potentially into 0.6550 and then looking for a drop. Next target here is 0.6500. And then below that, we're looking at 0.6465. So bias is bearish for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, we have a bullish pin bar. Bias here is bullish. Now it is into resistance, so watch out for that. There's resistance at 1.3635, but once it crosses over, next target here is 1.3680. So bullish bias for dollar CAD. Okay, let's take a look at commodities now. We'll start off with silver. Silver is looking bullish here. Now we do have this inefficient move that could get filled. So in this case, if price holds above this previous support resistance level at, let's say 19 or 18.95, so 19, then we're looking for a further move higher. And in this case, the first target is 19.35. And then the second target here is 19.55. So bias is bullish for silver. Gold here, gold is neutral right now. Now we do have several pins to the upside, but it has also held above this previous support resistance level at 1793. So in this case, we may get a retest, and if it holds above, if it holds above 1793, then we are likely to see this one go higher. So for now, neutral bias for gold. Oil here, oil is looking weak. We see that price hasn't really managed to break through the resistance level. Today, again, we have a bearish candle close, so I will look for a drop towards 38.65. And then next target here is 37.35. So bias is bearish here for oil. Copper here, we have a large pin bar here in copper. So what I'm looking for here is a retest of 2.90. If it holds below, then we're likely to see that drop. So bias is bearish here for copper. First target is 2.85, and then we're looking at 2.83. So 2.85 and 2.83 will be the two targets here. Bitcoin here, Bitcoin hasn't really done a whole lot. It's been trading sideways here. And we have a small pin on the top, so we could see a decline towards 88.80 level back, or 88.70 level back into the support. So neutral to bearish bias here for Bitcoin. S&P 500, a big drop here in S&P 500. A lot of that had to do with the California shutting down a number of businesses, again, with the increase in the coronavirus cases here. So not only did they shut down the businesses, but also schools as well. And I think they mentioned something about the schools not reopening in the falls. I will have to confirm that. Or just being online in the fall and not having on not having on-campus classes. So we'll see. I need to confirm that, but for now, for sure, they have shut down a number of businesses like bars and restaurants and things. So that is negative for the economy. So if the economy is not able to open up, then we are likely to see the stock market drop further. And bias here is bearish. 3100 is the first target. Now we may get a pullback into 3175, so keep that in mind. But bearish bias 3080 and then 3100 are the two targets for S&P 500. Nasdaq as well, a bearish day, first seriously bearish day we have seen in last 2 weeks here. So bias here is bearish. Keep in mind, it is into support, so we do need to see a break of that for it to continue lower, but bias is bearish. And in this case, I'm looking for a pullback and then a drop here. So bearish bias for Nasdaq. Target is 10,360. Dow Jones here, we have a nice bearish pin bar here. Price wasn't really able to break out of the range. So bearish bias, we may get a pullback into 26,300, and then I'd look for a drop. In terms of our targets, first target is 25,760. And then we have 25,500, so bearish bias here for Dow Jones. DAX here, DAX did bounce off of that resistance here. We have a bearish candle close for the day, so bias is bearish here. Next target is 12,385. And then below that, we have 12,300. So bearish bias for DAX as well. FTSE here, this one is looking bearish as well. Now, we are still trading in this range here. It hasn't managed to come out of that. So bearish bias, 6,000 is the target. Nikkei here. So Nikkei is bearish. We have a bearish pin bar. Again, price hasn't been able to hold above this resistance level. So bearish bias for this one here as well. With the stock market, we just have to keep in mind the risk sentiment. So the risk sentiment hasn't quite turned yet. We are still at that cusp where we did have a bearish close for the markets today, but that doesn't mean that the sentiment has turned yet. So we have to watch over the next couple of days. We're looking for a follow-through, basically a follow-through move to the downside. So in this case, 22,250 is the first target. And in terms of the pullback here, we may get a pullback into 22,700. And then looking for a drop back here, 22,250. Below that, we have 22,000. So bearish bias here for Nikkei as well. All right, so that's it for today. You guys have a wonderful trading day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.